Something in America has that is uniquely American. We move on to meetings. Very American, right? What was it they say? That to err is human, but to really screw up, you need a meeting, right? So
sounds about accurate.
So what is up with Shopify?
Yeah, so Shopify, this was, I believe last week, they had a memo that was shared with the media where they were taking a 2-week hiatus from scheduling meetings, and then they were basically re-enrolling a policy where it was now expressing the price tag of meetings. Because obviously when you collectively bring people in, you have just the math of it, you have the hourly wage of every person that's involved in the meeting, and then there's probably some more stuff you can add on it if you want a proper formula on that end. But what it came down to was how now employees can feel like almost empowered to say no to meetings there, which they were talking about could free up as much as 76,500 hours in terms of that were already pre-scheduled meetings for a lot of people on that end.
Yeah, and you know, when they start putting a price on your hour and doing things like this, you usually get really worried that the CFO is about to come walking down the hallway with an org chart that's got a red X over your name. And there's some truth to that, because it was less than a year ago, I think they laid off 10% of their staff because of the e-commerce efficiencies, and also
they were also leveraging heavily during the pandemic era, believing that the online movement would be a lot more. So this kind of came as like we saw with a lot of other tech companies, where they had to cut back a little bit because they were too over leveraged on that end.
Yep. And Kellyanne, can you look up something for me? I think it's Amazon. It's called the 2 pizza rule for meetings. If you could find that, Amazon 2 pizza rule. So Jeff Bezos also had a very strong feeling about gathering people in the first place. And it was, I think he called it the 2 pizza rule.
Yep.
If she can find that, we'll take a look at that in a second. But this, I think, is very, very interesting. So this is Shopify saying, hey, you know what? And here's Biz Doc. Shopify is saying, you know, we're looking for ways to make everybody aware of the cost of the business. We've laid off people and we got to find other efficiencies. So they'd rather have you coding or talking to customers or doing what we call productive forward-leaning activities rather than doing, you know, post-activity assessments. So meetings can be planning, meetings can be assessments, and meetings can be, you know, unnecessary. And what they're trying to squeeze out is, we don't want too many of the meetings that are assessment. We can get reports and dashboards, and we damn sure want to get rid of the meetings that are just part of, you know, it ends up bureaucracy. Well, we always have had a Monday meeting. That's why we're doing this. We always have it.
I think the other
You find the 2 pizza rule?
I did.
Okay, can we pop that up? Is there like a short wiki or something? Ah, there it is. The 2 pizza rule of Jeff Bezos. And then there's a rebuttal in here from Peter Madden, who is apparently a media executive, who says, you know, and they better be damn small pizzas in my organization. So the 2 pizza rule is, Jeff Bezos, in his early days of setting up Amazon, established a rule that every internal team should be as small as it can be fed with 2 pizzas. The rule was not to control and cut down catering bills. Instead, it was aimed at efficiency and stability. So in other words, if there's more people in the room than can be fed with 2 pizzas for lunch, maybe you got too many people in the room, and who's not talking or who's not necessary. And then Peter Madden saying, if you're working for me, those better be small pizzas. You know, as he wants efficiency and to get it done. So you got to appreciate that.
And I think the other part about this too is that when you look at the meetings and the size of it, that you have a lot of people that come into the meeting that aren't really needed, right? So you get a meeting, you get an invite from your boss, and you're on it, and it's like you kind of sit there, and then maybe 15 minutes out of an hour meeting pertains to your area, your department, and your like tasks or whatever. So I think that in terms of looking at it, in terms of how you can strategize it more, you could have just the leaders of each department, and then they kind of push it down the chain for something that's more increased efficiency. I know you have a way of running meetings and structuring meetings.
Yep. Long ago, and I got this from Bill Esri Sr., who was the CEO of Sprint at the time. And Sprint was this very bureaucratic long-distance company. And so, God bless Bill Esri Sr., not picking on you, Bill, and picking on your memory at all. But what was interesting about this was that he always said, before you walk into that room, you better know PAL, P-A-L. Purpose, agenda, length. He wants to know who is in that meeting and why are they in that meeting and what's going on. And so what is the purpose of this meeting? What is the agenda? What is the length? And the meeting can only be long enough to complete that purpose. Are we here to make a decision? Are we here to look at a result and then confirm tomorrow's action? You weren't allowed to go into a meeting and just talk about the result. If no one can send a report to you in email or you didn't see some dashboard, you can look at results that way. But if you're looking at results, making a decision to keep doing it tomorrow or do it differently, okay. But that's what it was. And so if you're running a small business, I highly, highly encourage you to take the one pizza rule nowadays and PAL, purpose, agenda, length. Why are you in that room? What is the agenda? How long should it be? And it should be only long enough to get to that. If it's a 15-minute meeting, it's a 15-minute meeting. You know, that's what it is. If it's going to be an hour-long work meeting and you're going through testing software code and talking about what it is, that's not a meeting. That's a work session. That's a team work, environment there. And so that's what I feel.